Hello everybody, welcome back to another trek through the dungeon. Yeah, this is, I'm gonna go ahead and level with everyone. This is not, in fact, a new vid. I'm keeping the old vid up just in case anybody's curious about it, but this is actually a re-record of the audio for my prior vid in Dungeon Crawl for Shinegami and in his post-endgame run when I approached the Hells. I'll be honest, this is one of my very first times doing post-recording, where, you know, you've played the video in game or whatever first, and then you come in and add commentary on top afterwards. So I'm expecting there to be, like, some issues with it, but overall I'm hopeful that it'll go well. I think that part of the reason I've avoided doing this so much is, in Crawl, especially, one of the things in the community you've got to accept is a reputation the game has for being luck-based, or being, if not entirely luck-based, at least much partially luck-based, just because of how horribly the RNG can screw you in a bad moment. And so I guess part of the reason I like to do active records is to make it very obvious that I'm not just cherry-picking my best ever. What you see is what you get, you know? This is me doing a run live, and if that run gets extinguished 3 floors down, so be it, but if that run ends up with a 204 HP, AC 24, evade 23, shield 31 character with full resistances who's beating his way through hell, you know, that's legitimate too. Anyway, yeah, and I wanted to go ahead and spend a moment to mention the technical issues that affected the last vid. I'll leave that vid up as well, although I might mark it as poor quality or something, just so, you know, anybody who's curious can always go back and see the original. But yeah, I suspect part of the reason I had so much issue with recording that last video, I was simultaneously unzipping an 8 GB file while I recorded the run, and while I guess initially that didn't cause any problems for some reason, because I did check the video and it was working okay, I guess at some point along the record that must have been problematic. So in the future I'm going forward, be careful about what processes I run while I record, and, you know, just make sure that whatever I run, it's lightweight or clean or whatever. I've had enough good records that I know that the software I use can do it. And for those of you who've asked and are curious, I use primarily Hypercam 2.0, which is now freeware, along with Virtual Dub when needed for, you know, updating the quality of a video or whatever, and the Xvid codec encoder every now and then for when I need to do compression. But the beautiful thing about doing crawl runs is I could run a 10 frames per second frame rate and most of y'all wouldn't even notice, because the game doesn't have that level of action. But yeah, see me walking here, and you'll observe just how slow the walk is. You can almost see it frame by frame. Yeah, that's a product of just how much processing my computer was doing when I first recorded this video. So, noticeable negative impact on quality that way. Alright, so I've been yammering enough about technical stuff. Let's take a peek here. So, entrance to hell, and this was my first time going in. Thus far I've been recording as though I expect that you all have already seen the previous video. For those of you who want, please feel free to, you know, view that. I still hold by that there's a lot of good commentary there, but if you don't want to, you don't have to. I'm going to try and make sure this is updated too. So the doorway to hell is a dangerous, dangerous place to go, and you've got to be very careful how you approach it, because waiting right by the doorway is usually a mob that you can't get past, or even if it's just the one big boss, Garion. Garion has so much HP, I think it's either 700 or 900 or something, so enough that even if you get like max damage rolls with your you know, high damage spells and stuff, he's still gonna live through it. And right after that he can summon stuff, and all of that summoned stuff can potentially mass damage or crit you, and you're at the gateway to hell, so there's just, you know, dangerous creatures floating around by default. It pays to treat the doorway to hell as being as on the same level of danger as the very last floor of the tomb. And for those of you who saw my previous video, you saw just how much caution I used before entering Tomb 3 to pick up the golden rune. And here I'm doing something similar, so you'll notice that I've got the swiftness going for me, as well as the haste, as well as an entourage, and there, sure enough, Garion at the top, a bunch of hellhounds at the bottom, and a water elemental off to the side. And it looks like my mouse is now showing the same. I naturally went in with not maxed, but near maxed resistances, and that's good enough. probably gonna just focus on mass channeling and summoning more dragons, because at this point in the game, dragons are obviously the way to go. Yeah, yeah, that's basically what's going on here. I doubt that I would win in general on the Doorway to Hell in one pass. But that's the beauty of, being the systematic, careful player. There's no obligation to win the fight immediately. I think what I do, I don't remember what I'm going to do here exactly, actually. But what I would do, like, if I had the choice now, would definitely be to try and take out Geryon first, probably by haunting him, and keep the entourage of dragons around me for defense, because I would hesitate to just mass summon. One great thing about the Doorway to Hell is that there's no denial of controlled blink. Especially towards the end game, we'll see lots and lots. It looks like I actually went for exactly that strategy. Use the dragons to attack below me and haunt Geryon something fierce. And the beauty of haunting Geryon is that, the beauty of haunting him is that it'll hold him in place and hopefully keep him distracted until he does some summons or unsummon of his own. And the beauty of keeping the dragons around me is if he does summon towards me, my immediate vicinity should be covered. That's a deadly freaking hell beast. But yeah, so Geryon up there, and he's taking a pounding. And honestly, this is partially just how great summoners are at this game and at the end game stage. I don't have to put myself at risk to keep Geryon completely pinned in place. With a conjurer, even if I had mass level conjurations, I wouldn't have any way to protect myself simultaneously, It's not like my defense will grow somehow. And while my direct damage probably beats out, I don't know, any one of my dragons, I doubt it beats out 2 of them, let alone a horde of them. Good news, of course, is that the top level summoning spells that you'd be concerned with don't generally require that much branching out. You can get summon dragons with just your summoning skill going up, and haunt you can get with reasonably, if you have an average necromancy, then it doesn't even take that much summoning raising in order to pick it up. Okay, let's see here. So now you can tell by the force of summons Geryon is bringing that I'm beginning to get but partially overwhelmed. But I have full health and I'm standing by the door, so I'm probably just going to continue to channel mana for a while. And note how valuable the haste is. I still haven't run out of it. So technically this is all still within one cast of that haste. But that is a big army of Hellbeasts. If they all hellfired simultaneously, I would be in some serious shit. So yeah, I guess right now I'm torn between killing Geryon and leaving. And there we go. The Hellbeasts get killed or unsummoned. Geryon goes down, and I pick up the Horn of Geryon. So victory is mine, as we always knew it would be. But yeah, with Geryon down, the next stage of hell comes. So what you do is you blow the Horn of Geryon, or evoke the Horn of Geryon, and the 4 gates to hell open. The way Crawl organizes hell is into 4 sections. And I'll just kind of wait for my character to walk around as I introduce that. But this is the vestibule of hell, which contains all of the different doorways to the different portions of hell. And the different portions of hell are elementally organized. And each of them contains exactly 1 rune and 1 final boss, and that final boss, whoever he is, I don't think he needs to be killed actually for the rune to appear. That was my mistake from previously. But he's usually guarding the rune in such a way that killing him is a logical option in order to get to it. Of course, these are very much boss-type enemies like Geryon is, so, takes quite some doing. Okay, it looks like I've gone fully bloodless at this point, so no need to be anything less than very cautious with my approach. So this vestibule of hell constantly spawns enemies, and it also has these 4 entrances to the different doorways to the different hells. Over here we see a lot of fiery stuff, so I'm guessing that this is where the fiery hell is going to be, or Gehenna, which is English, biblical, I don't know, for Jahannam, for those of you who are more Arabic speaky. Unsurprisingly, it looks like I blew the Horn of Geryon now. Unsurprisingly, you're going to expect a lot of fire and hellfire breathing enemies inside there, as well as, I think, Cerebov? No, not Cerebov. Is it Cerebov? It's a guy with a 7/7 flaming sword who's like the last boss, and that's where it actually has instant properties, which we'll probably get to later. Here we've got water and stuff, so this is probably the icy hell or Causitus. And Causitus has its own interesting things. Apart from obviously ice-themed enemies and ice elementals and all that, you've got ice-themed punishments for being in hell, and one or two stages where flight helps a lot because there's gigantic pools of water everywhere, deep water everywhere, but flight lets you ignore that terrain and, you know, be a lot more maneuverable. So that's two of the three major resistances in this game, fire and ice. And I'll give anybody a guess as to what the third one is. Oh, whoops, no, I won't give anyone a guess because that would require stopping my video. The third hell is the necrotic hell. And necrotic hell, yeah, this is definitely it. You can tell by the rotten black looking blocks and all that stuff. And let's go ahead and give a moment for my character to find it. Decaying netherworld of Tartarus. Indeed, Hades' world. If you've survived the crypt, you already have a way of dealing with super negative enemies and super negative energy. So really, if you've gotten the crypt rune, whatever mechanism you use to make it through there will probably hold you in good stead for getting through Tartarus. So that's actually one of the less intimidating branches. Finally, there's the fourth hell, which is the Iron City of Dis. And Iron City of Dis focuses primarily on irresistible physical damage, or partially AC and guaranteed damage reduction, resistible physical iron damage, and the random punishments of hell that you experience are based on similar features. I choose to tackle that first because why the hell not? The Iron City of Dis isn't that intimidating relative to some of the other branches, and so, you know, it's a reasonable place to go. Anyway. So, a primer on how hell works and how floor structure works. You've got these 4 different branches of hell, like I've mentioned. Each has a rune, each has a boss in the bottom floor in addition to a rune. The 7 floors are organized actually in a unique way for Crawl, more similar to Pandemonium or Ziggurats than anywhere else. You have multiple down staircases as per usual on each floor, and multiple up staircases. The difference, however, is if you go up on an up staircase, you instantly go all the way back out of that branch of hell back to the vestibule. So there's a very good incentive to keep moving forward. Also, you'll notice that sometimes random stuff happens to you. Like right here, without any enemy on the screen, you are caught in an explosion of flying shrapnel. They just basically hit me with a blast. And while admittedly I dodged/resisted all of it, because, you know, I'm freaking boss like that, I apparently, yeah. You can be hit by these random powers of hell. So yeah, major properties of hell. 7 doors down, 7 doors up, but each of the doors up takes you to the top. That's one. Second is the punishments of hell. If you stay here for any period of time, random shit starts to happen. The most notable is that the enemy spawn rate is high. Usually if you hang around on a floor too long, enemies start to respawn and eventually spawn out of death. Oh crap, it's a tormentor. I think I'll be able to get away from him. Yeah, I get away from him without getting tormented, which is great. Because I'm only torment immune when I'm bloodless. And crap, I walked back in range of him. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I should have just stayed out and let my dragons finish it. But yeah, I'm probably going to go ahead and drink some potions here just to top off my health, as it were, while I'm still not bloodless. Because being 100% bloodless penalizes my healing a lot. Anyway, like I was saying, so one of the major noticeable punishments of hell, or just properties of hell, is that instead of the enemy spawns being semi-slow rate and far away, it's relatively constant and relatively near your current position. So you'll see 4, 5, 6, 8 enemies spawn within vision range frequently, and they're not considered summoned enemies. So for the purposes of gaining experience, you know, they're viable and valuable, but also for the purposes of just mass abjuration, or just in version 0.9, like I play abjuration, it's not an effective spell since they're not summoners. So yeah, or summoned. Another tormentor. I wonder if I'm going to get away from it this time. I'm doing the recall, so I'm beginning to play right. I should really blink away right now just to be sure. But it looks like I'm safe. Yeah, it looks like I got away by walking, which is great. Cool. Yeah, Torment is terrifying. It's lucky for me that high-level enemies and fiends and such don't realize that they should mass torment or mass abjure my summons on sight, Because if they're... Oh, look right here, like 2 enemies spawned at melee range and 1 just out of sight. That's hell for you. So yeah, so just going to a corner and resting isn't always a valid strategy here either. You kind of have to be ready to fight on the fly and recover on the fly. Which is why being able to infinitely channel mana is so valuable here. Yeah, but like I was saying, it's lucky for me that many enemies in this game don't make the connection that, you know, if we just abjure, we don't have to kill 20 dragons. Right there, I was literally set upon in melee range by an Iron Imp, Troll, what is that, Iron Devil, as well as a series of zombies and a Green Death off to the side. So here I'm going to use the Blink Walk technique to get away as fast as possible and let my dragons finish the job. And yeah, I'm making one notable mistake here, and I'm going to go ahead and share it with you guys right now. You may have noticed a little while ago, I forget what point of the video exactly, but like a minute ago, I crossed a red staircase guarded by a tormentor, which I promptly took out. I should have taken that red staircase down, because while there is the possibility... Oh wow, looks like I just got hit by agony. While there is the possibility that I end up having to make a retreat from hell and come back in, and using that down staircase proves useful in the future, looking around as much as I am now, in and of itself is problematic. The longer you spend in hell, the more vulnerable you get. One of the many penalties of death, of being in hell, is to suffer temporary stat death of, I think, a random roll between 3 and 8 for any one stat. And while granted my stats right now are strong enough that I'm not going to instantly die from stat death or something, I don't want my intelligence to go from 30 to 27, 23, or worse, my strength to go from 21 to 12. That, in fact, probably could kill me in the short term because I'd have to drop so much valuable equipment. Valuable in the sense of it's keeping me alive, and I wouldn't want to do that. Oh, just my luck. Another fiend. Should be able to knock it out. The key thing is, will it get off an agony or a torment, and it doesn't. Yeah, tormentors are actually not considered as high a level of demon, killer, thingy, whatever, as some of the other top tier demons. I think that they're lower actually on level than the Balrog, for example, or that Shadow Demon you just saw. But I fear them even more, because they just have a smaller spell list, which includes Torment. So instead of using their fancier, bigger spells, they'll use their, oh, by the way, you lose half your life spell fairly frequently. And it's kind of painful. Okay, right here I see a bunch of staircases, so I definitely want to go down those. But I also want to fight this pitched battle with all my dragons, and then I get flanked by a tormentor. If I had any brains, I would just either bail down or bail out. And it looks like I opted for bail down, so good. It looks like I made an intelligent decision there. I still did manage to get tormented, but you know, with any luck I can regenerate a bunch of that health while I'm still in the corridor. And ooh, so here's my challenge. I don't want to channel a whole bunch of mana, because if I do, I'll go bloodless faster, and sure enough, that mistake on my part gives me a melee range executioner. That's just what hell does to you. I'm gonna blink north at this point, if I recall, and that should give me some space to work with so that I can summon butterflies. That was smart. Instead of just trying to get one dragon, the butterflies will physically block and distract him long enough for me to get enough dragons. A Quicksilver and a Golden should do fine. That he'll never be able to deal me any damage. And I, in fact, heal only and don't take any damage there. And now I'm going to, you know, with what little blood time I have left, try and regenerate. I figured that army of dragons is strong enough that anything that happens to spawn near me, I'll be fine. But it looks like I'm not going to heal much more than this. So out we go. Ugh, pardon me, I don't know what's come over my... Anyway, out we go, doing more of our thing and killing things, because that's what we do with dragons. Rawr, rawr, we got dragons, yes we do. Yeah. So yeah, so ultimately that's what hell becomes. While you can theoretically stay here forever and farm for experience and stuff, Pandemonium is just generally safer to farm in, because you have the ability to retreat, dig through walls, and build yourself a stealth haven without facing the constant penalties of hell. As a vampire, hell is a little bit preferable on account of the fact that you get more drainable corpses, but that little bit preferable comes with a big dose of, oh, but you're going to take this much damage. If you guys will recall from all the time I spent in Pandemonium, I seldom took this kind of damage all at once. In fact, I took a lot of damage from smite damage from smoke or steam demons or whatever. So obviously, yeah. Oh god, why did I recall first? I should have bailed first. And I should be bailing with blink every time. I should not take any chances on a tormentor. Just because it's going to inevitably be a drain on my resources. The more heal wand charges I use, the worse I am for like the harder branches. Because this is the easiest branch of hell. You know, in my opinion. Yeah, that was a valid choice of when to heal right there. Though I really do, I should probably have been focusing more on using up potions and the like, since I still have some flexibility of this run. I guess it really depends if I have a scroll of recharging left or not at this point. I don't remember, but yeah. And one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to go and farm Pandemonium for more resources. That's just not worth it. Let's see how much... yeah, so I blinked immediately there rather than take the chance on being Hellfire smitten again. And that just makes sense. Here it looks like my mass summons got him killed before he had a chance to even get a shot off. And there we go. Door's out. So let's take one of the doors and get out. By the door's out. Okay, so disc 3 now onto disc 4 halfway through, and looks like we got a little bit of luck, because there's an immediate gate on the way down, so down we go. And it looks like I was trying to revive health for a bit, but that's just stupid. I don't need to fight this fight. I should just go downstairs now. It's not like winning this fight is going to give me a chance to recover, because I don't have any blood to be healing off of anyway. I guess I just want to go with full mana at this point, so maybe that was my logic. But whatever the reason, I guess, yeah, running scared is never a bright idea. It's also partially just instinct, you know, at this point. Like, you get this instinct for clear a floor every time, but in hell there's just no benefit to clearing a floor. Quite the contrary, you can't clear a floor, because no matter how many times you kill things, more enemies will spawn right next to you, like, whenever they please. Alrighty, we got a shade here. So let's just walk around it, because that's what we do to shady things. There we go. Next doorway down. Every time I see that doorway down, it's like, you know, that just saves me another minute of looking. I can only bring 5 allies, but that, you know, by itself isn't a huge deal, because it's still not the bottom floor. So second to last floor of hell coming up now. Max mana with swiftness and a few dragons. I should have been more careful and built up a bigger army, but, you know, it looks like I made up for that mistake in time, so it's all good. Max out mana. Please tell me you're maxing out mana. It's not maxing out mana. Oh, there we go, maxing out. Good. And, you know, I've been playing for a while with the Staff of Channeling and a necro-mutated character, a Naga with like 52 AC. And I found that the Staff of Channeling is actually really bad compared to Sifmuna Channeling. I would say that if you're ever planning on going for an undead channeling caster for your endgame, definitely don't hesitate to choose Sifmuna early on, even if you're just going to go for necromutation as your source of undeadness. If anything, necromutation is easier to handle than this. Okay, here we go. Final doorway, and it looks like I've settled for a staircase with less than max slots, and looks like I'm settling for going in with less than max health. Yeah, and I'm making that call right now whether or not to burn a wand charge on my healing or not. I think I'm going to end up going with not. Yeah, I go with not. Probably an okay idea if I get out alive, kind of thing. But I don't have control teleport, and that was my mistake. And sure enough, this is a bad situation, no matter how you slice it. You know, you've got the Reaper right next to you, you've got at least 5 Iron Golems, but probably 6, based on their formation, or Iron Trolls, sorry, and you've got the Iron Golems. So really, I don't want to be here right now, but I don't have a choice. So I think what I'm going to... Yeah, I do exactly what I was going to say. I already have my entourage of heavy damage dragons. What I need is a swath of allies. Enough that I will be physically protected for a time being, while my strong allies do the work. So I'm going to start smite target firing my haunt on everything. And then hopefully I can drain at least one of the troll corpses after the fight's over for regeneration purposes, because I am on the last floor now, so, you know, I anticipate at least some of the fights are going to be harder. Sure enough, Iron Corpse drainable, and it looks like I tried to bottle it, forgetting that it's poisonous. But we'll soon fix that. At this point in the game, I believe I have 4 scrolls of magic mapping, which is more than I've had in previous runs, and 4 means enough for 1 per final floor of each of the hells. So that's what I'm going to go with here, because there's nothing else worth mapping in the game, you know, except maybe in a pinch somewhere. All of the dungeons should be fully explored, so I don't need it for that. And mapping the bottom floors of these, even without control teleport, at least gives you something to work off of for where you ought to look, or where you ought to approach or retreat to. Ooh, an Eldritch Tentacle is another hell effect. I'm not familiar with that one. You see Eldritch Tentacles, you know what that means. Some Japanese girls are really having a bad day. Okay, so Mass Dragon summon, and sure enough they bring mummies just to keep my EXP nice and farmed up. And it looks like I didn't wise up to the fact that I had a scroll of magic mapping yet. Not sure what's up with that. Probably use it in a little bit. But I've cleared off the immediate doorway, and I think I'm going to end up exploiting this teleporter. Yes, I am. Good. So if you keep summoning adjacent to a teleporter, your summons will end up in the teleporter half the time, right? So that's a nice, convenient way to flood the level with summons, or in my case, summoned dragons, without ever leaving your square. The problem, of course, as I quickly realized and stopped doing it, was that this is hell. The enemies here are going to constantly spawn next to me and all that, so standing adjacent to a teleporter isn't going to be any guarantee of safety. Okay, looks like I wised up and used the scroll magic mapping, and correctly I immediately identified the most likely orb chamber as the top and the left because of its circular shape and all that. And so, or not orb, rune chamber. So I'm going to head straight forward through these massive triple doors, and sure enough I'm coming, walking free as a gaybird, or jaybird, with no concern in the world. Open the gates, it's fine, open the gates, and aggressive recall? Aggressive fucking recall. Massive, massive casualties. Bone dragons are freaking scary, even at this stage in the game. Look how much punishment he's taking. Small wonder I start, smite targeting to fill the outer, or fill beyond my vision range with even more allies. Because I have, like, this solid mass of dragons filling up the hall behind them, so it's just like for the sake of the armada. And here it looks like I'm going to fight a running battle, and just keep, no, never mind, looks like I settle on just mass summoning. There we go, mini boss, the Serpent of Hell. And it is indeed a mini boss because, now he's there, now he's not, kapoof, gone. But that definitely means I'm on the right track to finding the real boss, and so let's continue down that road. A couple more golems and iron golems and the like. Do not need to drain that corpse since my health is already near full. Yeah, it looks like I didn't, which is good because I prefer the good resistances right now. I'm kind of running ahead of my dragons here, so it's good that I keep recalling every now and then channeling back to max. Okay, take a step forward and meet Dispater, which actually ironically means the father of Dis, which is in fact where we are now, the Iron City of Dis. Dispater is able to summon non-abjurable minions, like the Ice Fiend that you see here and the Pit Fiend. And sure enough, under their combined force, I have taken so much damage, and then I do something terrible. I blink, forgetting that control teleport doesn't function, and that just puts me right inside the chamber with them. I have a choice now. I can blind teleport, and hope to God I end up in a better place, or I can run around the corner and hope I don't get killed on the way. In retrospect, running around the corner would have been the right move, because if I picked up the rune that was sitting there, I could disable the control teleport ban, and all it would take to succeed in this is 2 quick steps. After that, my summons would block the way. And it looks like right there, I get the 1 and the 2 without taking any damage. So I could easily have pulled it off. But whatever, I made the mistake I did, and that's fine, because I'm going to end up turning that mistake into a win, hopefully. So we'll see. For the moment, my issue, of course, is that I need to heal, but I don't want to waste a whole bunch of mana, or sorry, channeling to... I don't want to waste a whole bunch of channeling to get my dragon army up until I've wasted all my blood on healing, so I have to stand here for a while with just the trivial escort against the random punishments of hell. But it's not as bad as it sounds. I mean, look at me. I seem to be faring pretty well, healing up and all that such, and dealing damage as I go. So, yeah, my dragons are doing pretty well for me. This small entourage of a guard. Anyway, health is up to like 135 now and there. Now I'm bloodless, and all of a sudden being bloodless looks like I got careless. Yeah, I got careless. I should have had an army at my side at this point. The moment I became bloodless, I should have had 20 dragons. There's no excuse. Looks like I got away with it, which is fine, but it looks like I also, wisened up, and there's my entourage growing with each step. Yeah, what metal gargoyle or iron gargoyle is going to have a chance against me now? They just get obliterated is what happens. Anyway, we're getting pretty close to a rematch against Despadre. It looks like there's no doors around this edge, so I'm just going the long way for some reason, which is fine. I mean, as long as I'm not encountering stiffer resistance, each square I cross, I have the chance to run across a consumable enemy, which could improve my health even further, because it looks like I'm still unwilling to use a wand of healing, without absolute requirement. And this Patra is by no means forced to stand still. He can move, so he's probably on the move right now. I don't think he's smart enough to know where I am. Like post-teleport, well, I guess that's not a matter of smart so much as a matter of him playing fair. He can't know where I am, just that I teleported. But, yeah, I've made my way all the way around the long way to the front door, summon up this massive, massive dragon army in the hallway, and boom! There he is at full health just standing there. So, get out of line of sight is the first order of business, and not even aggressive recalling first, that's second, and now aggressive recall, back off, and summon the second wave of dragons outside of sight of him, so that if by some means he magically subdues or abjures my whole army at once, the second army is unaffected. Now with the second army, I come back and it proves unnecessary because, well, there's a golden staff of the Despadre. And with the staff of the Disfather safe here, there's nothing more to fear. I go ahead and drink a corpse of some kind. I assume it's his, but it might have been an ally. And to start, very boldly walking, because, there's nothing else that can truly threaten me, I think. I nearly I actually do walk right into a golem at that point, before, realizing, oh shit. But I'm at full blood right now, so I'm going to be gaining a bunch of health. And okay, thanks to smite targeting, I lost a bunch of health all at once, so it's a good thing that bold as I got, I didn't, get too bold. I go ahead and quaff one potion just to be sure, and then let my dragons sort them out before coming back in. And when I see a bunch of a bit more experienced messages one after the other, I decide I'm going to wait out a bunch of turns too, just to, max out my healing for a while, and then I head in. But yeah, 158 is reasonable. I can turn a corridor blind with that and have a very, very, very solid chance of surviving pretty much anything in the game. Because 150 damage ain't going to happen in one turn. So, let's see. Roof's cleared out. Looks like the fiends died. And sure enough, ability of hell comes and casts more. So I'll come around the long way here and just go at all this stuff, and it looks like I'm very focused on picking up that rune right away, so I do. And with the rune gone, you'll notice that the control teleport sign from the right is also gone, and without being banned from control teleporting, there's no reason to stay here. I think I get greedy for a moment and decide, hey, maybe I can kill more stuff, and then I realize there's no point in farming experience when you're maxed out. So any moment now, there we go, reading the scroll of teleportation, putting on a ring of control teleport. Oh, it's already on. Awesome. Make my way to the door, and there's the whole southern part of this map isn't even looked at. There might be treasure in those, and maybe one of them's a vault or something. But honestly, who cares? There's nothing in the game I want right now except maybe scrolls of recharging. So, backing out, and sure enough, I now have the Iron Rune of Zot. That puts me one step closer to my ultimate victory over the game. See you guys next time!